Hello, my name is Erin Mayer. I'm a science teacher here at Casey Middle School. I'm so excited to welcome your children into our classroom this year. I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of outline how our classroom is organized, and we're really going to focus on what learning looks like, what feedback looks like, and something that I like to call proficiency-based grading. So we're going to start off with kind of the why behind the way that our classroom is organized. We're going to move into the hows. How do we make this happen? And finally, what are those small details that happen every single day that make our classroom really learning focused for every single person that's in here? So to start, why have a learning focused classroom? Learning is a journey, and I encountered this graphic a couple years ago from George Couros, and I think it does a really good job of kind of showing visually what I kind of believe learning looks like. Lots of times people think it's a very like straight trajectory, like you're going from point A to point B and not stopping along the way. And once you're at point B, you've learned. However, I think all of us know that that's really not how learning looks. So learning can be really messy. You can get sidetracked. You get back on track. You learn something new, and eventually, we are aiming to get towards our goal. So all of the structures and the scaffolds and the supports that I have in place in this classroom are all meant to help students navigate their learning journey with the ultimate goal for them to become critical thinkers that are really sense making about the world that's around them and figuring out how to communicate those understandings of the world around them to others. So you will see me and your children will see me use very specific types of vocabulary in our classroom to talk about things. So I don't ever say the word grade or grading. Instead, we talk about assessing and being assessed on understandings. Likewise, you will not see, your children will not hear the word score in the classroom again. It's always about an assessment of understanding. So shifting the focus from what grade did I get, or how many points did I earn in this, or how many points is this worth, to what did I learn? We are a environment where revision happens all the time, so never is something wrong. It just if sometimes kids might just not be where they need to be yet, so they're still working on developing their understanding. We are very feedback focused, so they will be continuously getting feedback from both me, from their peers, as well as doing some self-reflection about their own kind of learning journeys. Again, it's not about getting a grade, it's really about achieving proficiency. So are students able to show and support their understandings of the various science ideas that we focus on this year? And finally, we do not complete assignments in this class, we complete learning activities. So again, just emphasizing the point that every single thing we do in this classroom is it's a stepping stone on a journey to full understanding of a particular concept or idea. So how does this happen? First of all, I do everything I can to help students own their learning journey. In order to do this, we always have purpose for what we're doing. So all of our learning expeditions, which is my way of saying a unit, are focused on things called phenomena, so things that occur in the natural world that we're trying to explain. And those phenomena that we investigate will always be things that are relevant and applicable to kids, so that after they're introduced to the phenomena, they want to figure out like what's going on. We are storyline focused, which means that there is a story behind every learning expedition, and the purpose of every single learning activity that the kids participate in is to help them put together that story and come to a full complex understanding by the end of the storyline. All of our storylines, all of our learning expeditions are aligned with the next generation science standards. I am putting together another video. It kind of outlines the next generation science standards. Those will be implemented fully in Colorado in 2 years, but we will be implementing them this year in our classroom. And as we move through storylines, there's always a very explicit connection that's being made between the content, the science that we're learning, and the skills that support the sense making of the science. You will find that your children have a lot of autonomy in this class. So I provide choice in many different ways in this classroom, again, to help students own their journey. And finally, I think of my role really as a facilitator. So I'm kind of like a coach. I have very specific goals in mind for all the kids in all the classes, but I kind of do a lot of that work behind the scenes so that in the classroom, the kids really feel like they have full ownership of their learning journey. In order to also create this learning focused classroom, feedback is really an essential component. So your children will constantly be getting feedback. Some of that feedback will be from me, some of it will be from their peers as well. I give informal and formal feedback. Informal feedback is continuously happening in the classroom as I'm moving around and kids are participating in various learning activities. Formal feedback for me comes generally in the form of something I call the single point rubric. And basically, it's just a structure that lets kids know where they are kind of in their understanding at any particular time. So I actually focus on if they are proficient or not proficient yet. So if they are submitting something to me for formal feedback, they will either be proficient or not proficient yet. So proficient means, they got it. They are able to communicate to me and show me their depth of understanding on a particular area. If they're not proficient yet, the yet is what is important here. So yet means they're just not done yet, and that's totally fine. It just means they need more time to work with something and figure something out. So anytime they have a not proficient yet, that means that there will be revisions that will happen. So they will need to go back and relook at something or re-engage with something or dig into it a little bit more until they can show me that they really understand. And then at that point, they will move on. As far as daily structures that help us create a learning focused classroom, students will be involved in reflection opportunities throughout the year. Some of those reflection opportunities happen daily, and some of them happen over longer periods of time. Daily reflections are going to be completed on a tool called Seesaw, which is an online portfolio. Look for an email and a video from me in the upcoming weeks that will walk you through how you can become connected to your child's Seesaw account so you can follow along from home or from work their learning journey in science class. So in their Seesaw daily reflections, they will be thinking about what they worked on in class, thinking about where they think their understanding is at that moment in time, and then coming up with some goals for the next class. So this will happen every day, and you will see that ongoing record on Seesaw. At the end of every learning expedition, so at the end of every storyline, students will also complete their own kind of overall reflection on the learning journey for that particular topic. And through this reflection, they will decide what their proficiency is in that particular learning expedition. So in our class, we will use 4 levels of proficiency: an advanced proficient, proficient, partially proficient, and a developing proficient. Really, nobody should ever be at a developing proficiency because all along they've been getting feedback, and anything that they weren't quite proficient with at the time, they had to go back and rework. So I don't really anticipate having students at any point say that they are developing proficient, but I do think it's good to let them know that part of the scale exists. So the students will be going through their learning activities and thinking about their learning journey, and they will be deciding what level best shows their current level of understanding for the particular storyline. This self-grade will be the only thing that will be in Infinite Campus. So I hope this gave you kind of a quick overview of what you can expect this year in class. Again, please feel free at any point in time, if you have any questions, either send me an email or call or text me at the number on the screen. This is also on our class website as well. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to an excellent year.